You got a 22-year bid. I would like to talk about your prison story a little bit to hopefully detour a lot of kids listening. What was it like for an active Crip entering prison in GA?
All right, and here you have to move as a unit. There's no such thing as a separate person or you or individual, because if a blood attacks a Crip, they'll attack all the Crips. If a Crip gets into it, the blood, all the Crips have to get into it. So it depends on the amount of respect you have as a person and who you are as a person, which determines what your prison sentence is like. Like, you could be a foot soldier and you have issues, but you can be an OG or a big homie, and it's a difference in what you endure when you're in prison. Whereas it's always situations, but if you're a thinker, you can mediate the situation. Because the object of it is to keep as less situations as possible, because people die. People really literally die. It's death that comes with it.
Were you locked up in Georgia prison?
Yeah, I was in Georgia prison. I did time at a couple of Georgia prisons: Autry, Reedsville, Calhoun, Telfair. Most of the level 5 camps.
Now, I've talked to several people who have done a lot of time behind bars on my show, and one thing that they said is that almost half, or some have said the majority of people who are locked up because they were snitched on by somebody. When you heard the judge say you're getting 22 years, what's going on in your head at that time?
Nah, they told me I was getting more years than that. I actually had got 7. I had actually got 70 years. To be honest.
Damn, which makes my question a little bit deeper. I mean, you think you're about to spend the rest of your natural life in prison. What was going on in your head mentally?
Well, the thing that should be going on in everybody's head in a situation like that is that you should be trying to find a loophole or find a lawyer to make things work for you. It depends on what the situation is. Different people's situations is different. They vary from person to person. The next person's situation might not be what my situation is. Whereas, I felt like it was a situation where I was defending myself against the people, and when it came down to it, I wasn't going to tell the people with me because, hey, we weren't in the wrong to me and for how I see things or how I was looking at things. So my situation was maybe different from someone else. You know what I'm saying? So, when the judge said the time, the only thing I could think of was that, I got to find a way to get back. Don't give up on myself or think that I'm just gone or my shit's just fucked up like that right there. Just, got to buckle down, get a lawyer, learn the law, learn what's going on, and keep myself as far removed from bullshit as possible so that I can get back.
And all right, 22 years. So shit, what changed most about Macon when you came home? Was it a better city than you left it? Was it a worse off city than you left it?
Macon was way different. Cause at a time when I was running around in the streets, if you weren't built a certain type of way, you couldn't go certain places. You wouldn't find people that come to my neighborhood that weren't built or weren't allowed in my neighborhood. Whereas you had some of us that would go anywhere, everywhere we wanted to go. People weren't allowed to go everywhere like that. So it's that was one of the greatest changes, period.
When was Macon most active?
I would say Macon was the most active, first beginning of the 90s, from 90 to 96, 97. That's when Macon was really just wide open.
Take me back to when the movie Colors came out. Did that have any impact on your city at all? I know, gang, I think you said mid 80s they were already there, so they probably already in there for a few more years. But did that explode things?
No, Colors didn't really. It wasn't the colors. Colors. It was the actually mingling with the dudes that were from there.
Yeah.
Because you like I say, once the Long Beach guys came, you had guys came from Carson. You had guys came from Rolling 60s. You had guys came from everywhere just come in a mingling. Like I said, it was about money. So dudes are mingling trying to make this money, and they coming through. You know what I'm saying? And we meeting these dudes and seeing these dudes. Then, when Dre came from Carson, back from Carson, California, it was something different. The whole dynamics of what was going on changed. It was a thing whereas if we doing this, we ain't doing this their way, we doing this our way.